It's time to expire. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Utah, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Burgum, for being with us. I had an opportunity a few weeks ago to share dinner with you, and after that dinner, listened to you for about an hour, and I was extremely impressed with your intelligence and capacity to handle the issues of the day. So thank you very much for being here, almost up to 4 hours, and I'm really sorry to take a few more minutes of your day and your life to answer some questions, but these are important questions. In fact, I'll just add to that and just say I have 5 interns with me right now, and I said, Doug Burgum's downstairs right now. You need to come and see Doug Burgum perform because the man is intelligent and capable, and I'm really grateful that you're serving in the capacity that you are. You have other things that you could be doing, but thank you for your patriotic service to our country. As you know, 70% of Utah's lands are actually controlled by the federal government. That involves a requirement on a regular basis for us to interact with BLM, Interior, and others agencies that make it really hard for us, as I know as a governor you had to deal with this too, for us to develop and have local control over these vital lands. And so understanding that you're sympathetic to that, I'm really grateful that you and the administration are working to enhance our permitting process, that we're trying to move those things along so we can unleash our American energy dominance, which I'm really grateful for. I want to talk for a few moments about the Antiquities Act, which for ages has been abused by various administrations. And I have a quote from the original Antiquities Act that said, quote, "The smallest area compatible with the protection of the objects," unquote, is how it's supposed to be used. Instead, we have vast tracts of land. Bears Ears, for example, is 1.4 million acres. Hovenweep, which is nearby, is only 800 acres to protect vital antiquities associated with that. So I would like to know, when it comes to Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante monuments, what is an update that you can provide as to what the Trump administration is going to do regarding these monuments? Can you give me any kind of update or statement regarding that?
Welcome back, Patriots. It's time we talk about something the mainstream media won't touch, the war on the West. And I'm not talking about foreign threats. I'm talking about what Washington, D.C. is doing to our land, our communities, and our future. Today we're diving into a recent congressional hearing where Representative John Curtis from Utah grilled Doug Burgum, a brilliant, grounded conservative who's been tapped to bring some common sense back into our federal land policy. This was one of the most eye-opening discussions I've heard in years, and it's about time we all woke up to what's really going on out west. Stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, comment, like, and share.
Well, I think you know that the Bears Ears and Escalante have been at the center of this debate about the ability for the presidential pen to both, create, and then can future presidents shrink or modify or not. And that legal battle is going on right now. But I believe in following the law, and your particular quote that you cited from the 1906 Antiquities Act is the one that I view as the basis for this law, which is smallest possible acreage to protect the objects. There's other methodologies that we have, whether it's going through a longer process than just an executive order in the final days of an administration to say this area is going to become protected, it's going to become wilderness area, it's going to become part of federal lands. But the idea that we can just transform and change the land use on millions of acres. And if you look at when these monuments were created, if people don't think it's political, then look at the mass majority of them were created within the last weeks of administrations, starting in the late 1990s, and then that's when this whole trend began of this sort of broad interpretation of it. And then it's for a state like yours, creating a 1.4 million acre monument. Hey, do that in a state that's got 1% federal land. You do that in a state that's already got 69% federal land. You get a different reaction from the public and from the citizens and from the state government. So I think again, all of these decisions are also contextual with where they're at. So we're going to be taking a close look and working with the administration. Happy to work with you and others in these, particularly in the large public land states who are really impinged by these decisions.
Thank you for doing that. The reality is you say land use, and I know that many talk about land use, but many times these monument designations are land non-use at all. It's a museum piece. It's to forever be looked at, but never touched, never felt, never utilized on any level. And I'll just say the earth is, and I'm a family doctor, and doctoring means a lot to me, is our bodies and the earth are very similar. Our bodies are meant to be used. They're not museum pieces. We should use our bodies responsibly. We should not abuse them. And our land is the same way, is that land does better when it's used and managed, but when it's abused and mismanaged or neglected, in both cases, both entities suffer. Utah is one of the fastest growing states in the country. Another thing that I'm really eager to talk to you about for the moments that I have is housing, and the fact that we have federal land and we can't build anything on it, including necessary infrastructure or housing. Senator Mike Lee from the state of Utah has proposed the Houses Act, which contiguous land to localities that want to purchase at fair market value federal land so that they can use it for housing is, I think, a necessary policy that we could promulgate. What are your thoughts about federal land and the possibilities that we could use that to address our housing crisis in the West, which is a massive issue in many states?
I think in highland states, or in the high public land states, particularly Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Alaska, these are places where we have to look really hard at finding a solution. And we talked earlier today that where there was bipartisan legislation like the Southern Nevada Lands Act. Harry Reid drove that thing. It's been working. So there's models out there on how to get this thing done.
Thank you very much for your time. You've been great. And Mr. Chair, thank you for the time. I yield back.
Gentlemen, it's time to...
All right, Patriots. 70% of the land in Utah is controlled by the federal government, not the people of Utah, not the state, not the locals, but unelected bureaucrats in Washington. This isn't just Utah either. This is happening all across the West. Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, all handcuffed by the D.C. swamp. You want to talk about abuse of power? The Antiquities Act was supposed to be used to protect small, specific historical sites. Actual antiquities. But now, it's being abused by liberal presidents who wait until their final weeks in office to lock up millions of acres with a flick of a pen. That's not conservation. That's federal overreach on steroids. Take Bears Ears in Utah. 1.4 million acres. That's not preservation. That's land lockdown. Compare that to nearby Hovenweep, a mere 800 acres, actually sized to protect the ancient ruins. Bears Ears is a political stunt. It's land theft under the guise of environmentalism. Doug Burgum, to his credit, gets it. He knows the original intent of the law, and he knows these moves are political, not practical. He called out the timing. Almost every big monument designation happens in the final days of Democrat presidencies. It's performative and it's punitive. They want to punish red states with high federal land ownership. Kennedy nailed it. Monument status doesn't mean land use, it means land non-use. No homes, no roads, no development, no energy, no grazing, no timber. Just a museum exhibit you're not allowed to touch. And they wonder why housing prices are exploding in the West. Look, we all believe in protecting America's natural beauty. But there's a difference between smart local conservation and top-down federal strangulation. Our land was meant to be used responsibly, not preserved like some kind of sacred liberal shrine. Patriots, there's a massive housing crisis in the West. Why? Because we can't build. Because the federal government hoards land like a jealous king. Senator Mike Lee's Houses Act, that's real conservative policy. It would let local communities buy adjacent federal land at fair market value to build homes. That's freedom. That's American. Doug Burgum said it clearly. Land use decisions made in D.C. without local input are out of touch and harmful. He even pointed to bipartisan models like the Southern Nevada Lands Act, proving this isn't about left versus right. It's about tyranny versus liberty. We need more straight-shooting patriots like Burgum in these positions, people who believe in federalism, in states' rights, in the American ideal that government governs best when it governs least. Make no mistake, this is a battle for the soul of the American West, and we've been losing it for decades, but the tide is turning, with leaders like Burgum, with senators like Mike Lee, and with we the people rising up and demanding accountability. We can take back control of our land, our future, and our country. Smash that like button, subscribe for more hard-hitting conservative truth, and share this video with every patriot you know who's sick of watching our land be taken from us. Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and never stop fighting for America. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.